Hello guys, welcome to the new episode about studying major tarot arcanas and archetypes. In today's video, we're going to discuss the archetype Hierophant. It's also the fifth major arcana. I built this series of lessons on the principle of Fool's Journey. Fool as the very first arcana, it's also in some systems it's considered number 22, in some systems it's number 0, but that's where the journey of the practitioner begins. He looks exactly like this on the classic Rider-Waite. It's a fella, he is not thinking too much about deeper processes in life, he's just there to have fun, to enjoy. About to step outside of the cliff, not even caring to look what's beneath his feet. But that's the state of mind where you can learn anything because you're empty as a white sheet of paper. You have the child consciousness, which is open to all kinds of possibilities, which is not limited with the belief system that put its imprint onto every single body. Especially the older the people, the harder for them is to make their mind flexible and open their mind to the new possibilities, right? One of the signature features of Hierophant archetype is the utmost wisdom. We discussed the archetype 9, which was the hermit, which was their representation of wisdom as well. But there was a different kind of wisdom. The Hierophant actually knows the God's laws, the cosmic laws, the God's word. Hierophant used as an example of those people who dedicate their life to studying holy scriptures. All their life they go to school, and all their life they dedicate to studying everything about this universe, the mysteries hidden in the holy scriptures. And with time and experience, they usually achieve the higher rank, which allows them to perform very serious rituals like weddings, like baptism, like a lot of other rituals that people normally come to when they have a very important pivotal points in their life. And they definitely trust the authority of people who work in different establishments and egregores, such as churches or mosques or different other places where people pray, and places where that belong to the spiritual tradition of any nation, and every nation has their spiritual traditions. Back in the days, society was very, very divided onto caste system. It still exists nowadays, but people nowadays don't pay too much attention to it like before. And the caste of warriors, which was not only the soldiers or the ones who ruled the army, the generals, and the different ranks in the military division of that sort. It's not only them, but also people who were above them, such as kings. They were considered warriors, and that caste was very, very high and very, very authoritative, right? So people, simple people, they would always go by the laws that were established by higher authorities, such as the warriors who ruled that particular country, city, or even the whole, the whole big empire. Some countries, some emperors considered a lot of countries united together, and they made a whole big new country of their own that consisted of different people with different religious beliefs, with different traditions they grew up in. But the course of history was changing very drastically, especially in the times where there were a lot of wars and a lot of religious cultures have been mixed up. But there was a caste who was even higher than emperors, pharaohs, and all kinds of kings and queens and leaders. And that caste was a caste of wizards or magicians. In other cultures, they were called magicians, like in ancient Egypt, because they were literally able to manifest into physical things that would have been considered outside of the norm amongst regular people. So those wizards, they possessed a lot of knowledge about the secrets of the universe. Again, they derived all those knowledges not only from holy scriptures of the different traditions, they were also doing a lot of spiritual practices. Those spiritual practices allowed them to step onto the new levels of understanding their reality. They were able to see into the future, or although the future did not happen yet, they were able to foresee the events that were about to happen. That's why they had such a big authority, and every single king, every single ruler had a big team of priests or priestesses working behind the scenes. They were real leaders, they were real great cardinals. They possessed the real authority. And the institutions, such as religious institutions, they were going hand in hand with authorities that established different countries. They were together as a team. One was a great cardinal, other one was an obvious leader, but nevertheless, both of them were very, very powerful. Both of them were very important, and it was very, very prestigious for people to study all kinds of religious knowledges and all kinds of holy scriptures. It was extremely, extremely valuable, prestigious, and only that class of society was actually able to understand what the universe is woven of and how to navigate in it more efficiently. It seems like they had all the answers. And now we're very lucky that we have the access to the knowledge. Some of the knowledge, a lot of it was actually destroyed during wars, during arsons, during all kinds of different events, but there is still very few seeds of knowledge that we have access to these days. And that's why tarot, it's very, very amazing instrument that allows you to tap into it. And every single arcana has a history of its own. What we can see on the fifth archetype, Hierophant, is the Hierophant himself. He is also the priest, or he is also the pope, or whatever other rank in religion he could carry. He wears sort of a crown, which represents his higher status. He holds that um, stuff like a wand or something that also represents his status, and other people that are turned back to us from our perspective, but they're looking towards him from below to above, because they do accept his authority above him, and they kind of learn from him, or they take his orders and they go and fulfill it in the real life. So those people also, we have the two keys right here, right in the middle, and those two keys represents the key to the doors of the unknown, to the doors of the order as they would understand it. Only Hierophant was the one who really knows what to do and why anyone should do it. It's a representation of authority figure. It's like so-called daddy of the group. I taught about the aspects of numerology, of how to determine your archetype, and one of those were as simple as your date of birth. If you were born from the 1st to the 22nd, that your archetype would be, one of them actually would be the one of the tarot cards, because there are 22 of them from the major arcanas. But if those who are born after the 22nd, there is an algorithm how to calculate it, and I teach more in detail about it in the course. People who were born, not only those who were born on the 5th, but those whose sum of numbers after a certain algorithm of calculation ends up with number 5, oftentimes those people possess very strong authority. They're very much connected. This archetype people are very, very strong with their throat chakra. Throat chakra level is super high right there. Even if it's not developed, the potential is always there. Throat chakra, it's connected with our causal body, the body of cause and effect and actual experience. Political leaders who had this chakra developed strongly, with only one word they would say, they would make literally masses of people want to follow them, want to do what they say. Hierophant archetype or arcana is the ability to make the crowd follow you. It's not only your absolute thirst for knowledge, where these people can find themselves oftentimes buried in the books and studying a lot of interesting things. They also are capable of establishing the school of their own and make others want to follow them. They're very strong influencers. They have very good capacity of all kinds of professions, careers that have to do with speech, with word, with processing, analyzing, absorbing, developing, sharing the information. They are book authors, they're excellent journalists, they can be even scientists as well. So there is not much emotion, but there is a lot of intellect. The left hemisphere of the brain, the intellect, and one of the downsides could be that person can be at times arrogant with the amount of knowledge they get. So that's the stepping stone for everybody who practices archetype number 5 or Hierophant. There is no perfection, there is no limit to knowledge. The more you know, the more you understand that you don't, and you need more answers. So there is always a really good point to remember that everybody has their own pace in development, to be more patient with people and to use your knowledge not against others, but to make everybody's life better in your circle, whatever circle is that. So it's a leadership position, but it also requires certain responsibility and understanding that there are free will choices. Speaking of free will choices, people, they tend to establish different organizations. Anywhere they go, they like to kind of have a circle of interest, right? So there is an interest, let's say some people prefer one type of car, some people prefer another type of car, and they would only consider buying that type of car. Let's say everybody's favorite German cars, there's a group of people who only drive and prefer to drive Mercedes, but there's a big group of people who would rather go with BMW, right? And what makes that company prosperous is the amount of followers, the amount of people who constantly, no matter what, they always continue coming back to that particular product or service, right? It makes the company stronger, it makes the company blossom, and it's called an egregore. On the energetic level, whatever that establishment is, it's called egregore. Egregore is when people consciously, freely give their time to that establishment, because time is the most valuable currency on earth. If monetary money is a man-made mechanism, and it can be changing, it can be controlled in any ways, but the time cannot be changed, the time cannot be controlled. Once you give your time to somebody, you actually give something you can never return back. And this principle is the principle how different religious organizations work. The stronger is the organization, the more people they have who willingly, freely give their time to the organization. And the more people do it, the stronger is the egregore. I hope you understood and could read between the lines. Nevertheless, let's take a look at the designer deck of the archetype Hierophant. It's also another variation of how it can look and diverse from the original Rider Waite. It's also the man who seems like he has the knowledge, he has the authority, he's very confident. And oftentimes people of this arcana or archetype, they seem like they know everything and they don't really want to change. They don't really want to move from one opinion they already established to another. They're not flexible. And that's one of those things that people who practice this archetype should definitely take into account and work on it, because flexibility of mind opens your horizons and gives you a lot more perspective and a lot more understanding of things. And archetype Hierophant oftentimes signifies a very important like events like weddings, for example, or some kind of other life-changing pivotal points, or the necessity to do what is right. And everybody can understand it differently, yet there is still so many common ground when it comes to righteousness. So Hierophant archetype in spreads oftentimes signifies that you need to take advice from someone who is very close to God, whether it's your spiritual master, teacher, or anybody who works in the church or the tradition you grew up to. So I hope that this fool's journey is interesting to you guys, and I'm going to meet you on the next video where we're going to discuss fourth arcana and archetype Emperor. See you.